We're going to start off with teaching. It's about teaching. It's going to be about your teaching. How did you decide to become a teacher, being the teacher profession?
I suppose it was a combination of by accident and by circumstance. I spent a lot of time in high school working with theater programs, and I liked not necessarily the performance part of it, but the backstage part of it. And so when I went to college, the major that I had was speech and theater, and I also majored in history. And there were a number of really good teachers that I liked and I admired, or I really enjoyed taking their classes, and I thought that would be a really good way to make a living and a good career choice. And so I'm not sure that I was ever destined to, or but I haven't talked to very many people who are teachers who didn't have good teachers somewhere in their background, that they wanted to either be like or pay back, contribute back to teaching.
You mentioned good teachers. Back when you were younger, to you, what made a good teacher? And now that you're older, what makes a good teacher?
Well, I think that one of the best teachers I had in graduate school, and that's still quite a few years ago, I always admired, his name was Stan Dietz. I always admired Stan's ability to sort of be relaxed and get a lot of information across to you in a very easy sort of way. He was not sort of a lecturer. He would talk, he would ask questions, he would engage his class. And so it wasn't simply a matter of presenting the information to you, it was also getting you to think about what it is you were learning. And I think that people who are good at teaching are able to find ways to get their students to think in different ways. So they're not only conveying content, but they're also changing the way people think or changing the way they see relationships or situations.
How do you engage the students in your classroom? Do you use different teaching techniques, or how do you do what you do?
I'm probably getting lazy in my old age. I keep kind of doing the same things that I've done before. And I think they work. At least students tell me that they work. And I think that that's true of a lot of teachers. I think we tend to do what was done to us. And that's why I think those good practices get passed on. So asking questions, having fun with your students, not necessarily being friends with your students, but having fun with your students, not being afraid to be embarrassed or do something dumb or whatever in class. I think students appreciate the fact that we're human and we make mistakes, and we have good days and bad days, just like they have good days and bad days.
Have there been times when you were teaching that once you got done, I'm sure there has been, once you got done, you're like, yes, that was a great class, they were engaged, and then also, talk about that if you would, and also have you had times where it's like, oh, I should have done this, or I just didn't connect with them?
Anyone who hasn't had both of those experiences is lying, because you can have a lesson or a day that you think is very well planned and you've got it all laid out and it just dies. And you can have other days where there is a question or a comment that students provide that resonates with other students, and you can sort of toss the lesson plan out the window and go with what's working at that time. And so you hope that there are more of the good times than the bad times.
How has your identity and integrity played a part in teaching? And has that changed from when you were first started to how many years you been teaching now?
Well, I've been here at Penn State for 32 years. I first walked into a college classroom in the fall of 1978, and I was terrified. And I think that your confidence grows, but hopefully you're always humble enough to realize that you can fall on your face at any given point in time. So I think I'm very comfortable for the most part with the content that I teach. Integrating different methods of teaching that content is something that I think everybody needs to keep working on. But it's interesting, just the other day in my interpersonal class, we were talking about the idea of identity and the roles that we play. And I mean, for 40 years I've been playing the role of teacher. And so it is a part of my identity. And hopefully I have other roles that I play, but I like being in the classroom. Most days it's fun, and I'm not saying that's the only measure of success, but if I walk out and had a good day and students got something valuable from the day, it's a good day.
And I guess that kind of leads up to my last question. What is the best part that you have found about teaching all these years? What keeps you coming back?
It's working with students. I joke with them sometimes that the great thing about this job is that every 15 or 16 weeks you get to start over again. So at the end of a semester, if it went well, you can sort of pat yourself on the back. If it didn't go so well, you can try to figure out what didn't work. But you get to do again every semester. And there aren't very many jobs that you can do that. That there's that sort of consistency in what you're doing, but there's a constant change in the audience and the students that you get to work with. And so you can have a great semester and sort of lament the fact that it's over. You can also have a crummy semester and it's like, oh my God, I never want to see them again, but they might not ever want to see me again. So, but there's always that sense of renewal and a fresh start that's pretty unique about higher education.
I'm sorry, I have one more question, and what you just said made me think of it again. Student evaluations of teachers' evaluations, how much weight do you put into them? What do you do as far as when you see students' comments? How do you change your teaching for the next semester, or don't you?
I think you have to be willing to take student evaluation and feedback and criticism, and take it to heart and take it into account. They, for better or worse, they are our clients. They are our, I don't necessarily like the word customers, but they are our customers. And I'm not suggesting that we necessarily pander to them, but they're the ones that we're trying to reach. And so as we read over the comments, whether they're the numbers or the open-ended comments or comments from our peers when they're observing us and evaluating us, I think we have to be open to changing what isn't working and sort of continuing to do what is. I mean, people have bemoaned teacher evaluations probably ever since we've been doing them, but it's an imperfect system, but it's the system that we have. And so in our case at Penn State, it's the SRTE forms, and people have complained about them since day one and will continue to complain about them. Give me a better system. And I'm not sure we have one. In any other organization, there is the same kind, or there's some kind of evaluation that people undergo, whether it's customer service or satisfaction or the whether or not they're selling something. And I don't think we in higher education should be or can be immune to that. I would hope people don't put, sort of change whatever they do so that they can try to raise their scores, because I don't think that's necessarily the right thing to do either. But having a better understanding of our clientele and customers is really important.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today.
You're welcome.